Okay, pals, we are in a new phase of workouts. So this one's going to be 3 weeks long again. We've got days 1 and 4, 2 and 5, 3 and 6. So you're going to repeat the workout essentially twice per week. This one's a little bit different. So we're going to do a circuit-based training. When we do circuit-based training with strength training, so there's circuit-based training that you see like in a gym where you're just going through each circuit and trying to do the reps as quick as you can or go through the circuit as quick as you can. The difference here with the strength training is we're going to do the reps with good form. And if the form starts to break down, we're going to modify, and then we're going to take a 3-minute rest. Usually with the circuit-based training that you see in the gyms or like a group fitness class, there's not a lot of rest. It's more of like a HIIT or just kind of a cardio-based workout. So this is still where we're trying to build muscle and focus on that, but we're going to have a little bit more cardio and your heart rate's going to get a bit more elevated than it did the past 2 phases. So when we do a circuit-based training, so before we were doing 4 sets of 10 reps, right? So for example, push-ups, we're going to do that today. So I would do 10 push-ups, rest that 90 seconds or 2 minutes, then 10 push-ups, rest, 10 push-ups, rest. Then I would move on to the next exercise. Today, what we're going to do is go through exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, then rest, and then repeat that 3 more times. So essentially 4 sets. The reps are anywhere from 10, 5, 15. It kind of depends on the day, and I'll guide you through that. But going through each exercise 1 time, resting the 3 minutes, going through each exercise again. Now, again, like I said, if your form starts to break down, we do need to modify that. The other consideration is because the rest is going to be different, your weight might need to be dropped because you're not having that rest in between sets that you're doing it. So for example, if I do my push-ups and then we're going to go into an overhead press and then we're going to go into a dumbbell row today, because I don't have that rest in between each exercise, my weight might need to drop because else it's going to feel really fatigued and heavy. Remember, you're going to feel a lot more of your heart rate here. So that's something that we want to consider. So let's get into the exercises and I'll guide you through them. First one that we're going to do is push-ups. So as we've progressed, we've used the TRX, we use the resistance bands to modify, we've used the bench for push-ups, but now what I'm going to do is actually go on the floor for push-ups. And because I want to see how I do and how I perform, and now I've got this 3-minute rest in between. Now again, if my form starts to break down, then I need to change and maybe go back to the bench or go on my knees. So when I'm going to a push-up on the ground, again, my hands are going to be about apart from my shoulders, or shoulder width apart. Sorry, that was confusing. And what I want to do here is I want to plank out my legs. Sorry, I'm trying to think and do this at the same time. Plank out my legs. But if this is too much here, where if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do that, going on my knees is a-okay. What I don't want to see is a push-up like this. See where my butt is up in the air? If I'm going to go into a push-up, and I'm not going to even do a regular push-up. If I'm going to go into that plank, I want a little tuck. So if you notice that, I'm going to come over to the side here so you can see. So a little tuck of my pelvis. And that's just going to help protect my low back and also help me engage my lower abs. For me, I'm going to do my push-ups on my knees. I am not ready to do full body push-ups. And honestly, I was never very good at full body push-ups. So it's not something I really aspire to improve on. So for me, I'm going to come on my knees, do a little tuck of my pelvis, and I'm just going to come down and back up. I want my elbows to grace the side of my ribs. I also want to watch my shoulders and my traps, that they're not coming up, where I'm starting to do kind of that motion. So like this. And if I come a little bit more forward so you can see where my elbows are flaring out. I want my elbows to be nice and tight. So I'm going to do 10 reps here. And then I'd finish and move immediately on to the next exercise. So let's go into that. So the next exercise is an overhead dumbbell press. Again, we've been doing this. We're just going to do 10 reps. So coming here, I have a V stance. I want my elbows to come down below my shoulders. I don't want to just kind of go in this shortened range of motion that's called. So my elbows are going to come down, V stance, pressing up and down, up and down. If I start to kind of press like this, then it's too heavy. If you can see, my hips are protruding forward. And I also don't want to be pressing straight out because that's going to put a lot of weight on my shoulders. So thinking of like I'm in between 2 walls here. So I've got a wall behind me and a wall overhead. and I got a little bit of room for my V's, and I'm just going to come in a straight line. So I'm going to do 10 reps of that, then immediately go into the next exercise. So let's go into the next one. Next exercise is going to be a 2-arm row, or rowing at the same time. So again, thinking of that deadlift stance, I'm going to hinge my hips back, coming down here, picking these up. And just like the push-up, I want my elbows to stay right by my ribs, and I'm coming back and forward, back and down. Now exhaling, inhaling on my way down, exhaling, inhaling on my way down. So like I said, your weight might be less as you go through each one, because it's such in a sequence of one after the other. But now I go into that 3-minute rest. So I'm going to watch the clock. I want a full 3 minutes of rest. What you can do in between rest times, because that's a common question of like, well, what do you do with yourself? And a lot of times women aren't strength training in the typical fashion, and they think like a 20-second rest or a 30-second rest is appropriate. Now, there are some times where that is appropriate for the programming, but for this, we want to take that full 3 minutes. So what do? This is where you can meditate, listen to a podcast, maybe you're reading a book, maybe you're journaling, maybe you just need to sit for a little bit and check in with yourself. That sounds super lame, but those are all things that you can do. What I do on a 3-minute rest is I'm in a pace back and forth. So I'm just going to be walking like this and kind of checking in, trying to lower my heart rate, focus on my breathing, say like, man, how is my form on that? Do I need to lower the weight? Can I go up in weight? Maybe I feel good doing that. Maybe today is a day where I have a little bit more energy because I slept better with the baby, or I had a little bit more carbs or something like that. So I'm just going to be walking around. Sometimes, to be honest, what I'll do is be checking in with clients. So I'll be texting them in between the break. But I honestly want you to try and disconnect from the phone, disconnect from social media, texting, and engaging on there, because this moment is for you, especially for my postpartum moms. This is your time. 3 minutes is a lot in this realm of where you're at in life. So take it for yourself. Check in. How's your body? How's your sleep? What's something you want to work on? Maybe what are you going to do after this? What do you want to have for lunch? Like any of that shit. So take those 3 minutes. So what I would essentially do is, okay, ding, 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 3 minutes is up. I'm going to go back into 10 reps of push-ups, 10 reps of the overhead press, 10 reps of the row. Then I'm going to rest 3 minutes, and I'm going to repeat that 2 more times. So 4 sets, 10 reps each. All right, so once I've done with those, I always like to add in a core exercise afterwards for where I'm at, because this is a low volume. I want to make sure that I'm making sure I'm still engaging with my core and rehabbing that as well. And a strong core provides a lot of benefit for us. So one of the exercises that I'm going to show you today is the 4s, or it's called quadruped hold or hands and knees. Again, it depends on who's using the terms, and then that's the term that they're going to use, but however you need it to reference is going to work for you. So let me show you how to do that, and we'll get into it. So for the hands and knees position, my hands are going to be directly underneath my shoulders, knees are going to be directly under my hips. So thinking of just kind of a bird dog stance, what I want to do is create a slight tuck of my pelvis, just again, protect low back, and I'm going to try and engage the lower abdominals and whole body core. As I'm doing this, I want to make sure my shoulders aren't by my ears, that they're down and back. So as I'm going into the 4s, I'm going to tuck my toes under because I'm going to eventually lift up my knees. You may start just going in this kind of position. This may be progression 1. And when I'm in this position, my back is excessively rounded, and I'm going to exhale significantly. So trying to get all that air out, all the air out, all the air out, all the air out. Now hold, and then just focus on breathing into that canister. So pelvic floor is going to drop as I inhale, and exhale, it's going to come back up. Ribs are going to expand as I inhale, and then come in as I exhale, and belly's going to tighten. So thinking of everything as kind of in this, I always like to think of a balloon. So it's expanding as I'm inhaling, and exhaling, it's contracting. So I'm pulling everything in. This is where you want to be cautious, where if you're an upper ab gripper, you can't feel your lower abdominals, you don't even know that you have obliques. Like if we're not feeling all of that, then maybe just breathing on hands and knees is actually your first progression. So first progression, second progression, third progression is going to be a whole complete exhale. And on my exhale, I'm going to come up and round, and I'm going to breathe and hold. And maybe I can just do 1 breath and come back down, reset, rest. Now for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 sets of 10 breath. So I'm going to go into my hands and knees, toes tucks, exhale, exhale, come up, and I'm going to breathe 10 times, but keeping that contracted position and that excessive rounding. Then I'm going to take a break, maybe a 1 to 2 minute rest, and then I'm going to go back into that 3 more times. So that would be my exercise, or my core exercise, that I'm going to add on this day for days 1 and 4. So if you have any questions, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below, and I'll get them answered for you. If you found this video helpful, be sure to share it with a friend or a family member that you think would be interested in this content. Also, if you have anything that you want me to film, if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to give some insight. I'm going to do one on our sleep schedule coming up. I'm going to do one on what happened after I went shopping, kind of a follow-up there. So lots of stuff coming through and lots of recommendations, but I'm happy to hear from you and create content based off of that. So have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.